As out of nowhere, Qubic has put out a press release announcing that they are the fastest blockchain in history. Now, for those not aware, Qubic is a CPU and GPU mineable cryptocurrency. I have made a how-to mine it with Hive OS. You can do it on Windows as well. Maybe we can do a tutorial for you guys on Windows if you're interested in that. With, you know, the 4090, 5080s, like 40 series and 50 series really being the top of the food chain for this particular cryptocurrency. AMD not really mining it that well on the GPU side. Obviously, the CPU side mining it pretty well. And this is big news if true. Now, they say it's verified by a third party. And it said it was done on the live mainnet, and it sets a new industry benchmark for decentralized performance. Now, keep in mind, this beats everything out in current existence, which is pretty incredible. We're talking about beating Solana. We're talking about beating even the slated Mega ETH coming out, which is like the Make Ethereum Great Again project. That's going to be extremely centralized that we've talked about in the past. It's apparently faster than all of that. Of course, will people use it is going to be the big question. On April 22nd, Qubic has officially achieved the fastest transaction speeds ever recorded on a blockchain, hitting 15.52 million transactions per second on its live layer 1 mainnet. The result was independently verified and published by Certik, a leading blockchain security and auditing platform. So here is that website if you want to go see if it's valid and all of that. And I have no reason to believe that it's not valid. It goes on to say, unlike many previous tests conducted in isolated environments, Qubic's milestone was accomplished live on mainnet with no rollups, no gas fees, and no layer 2 dependencies. The Qubic team conducted a live stress test on mainnet using its native tick-based architecture. While the test session spanned a longer runtime with many ticks executed, the certified performance result, 15.52 million transactions per second and 1.51 billion transfers, is drawn from the 10 peak ticks verified by Certik. This means that we had essentially a peak transactions per second of 15,527,637 transactions with a total transfer of 1.51 billion in a finality of instant and zero delay. Now, if we compare this to other blockchains, Ton, which has been extremely popular for quite some time as far as speed goes, is at 104,715 transactions per second. Solana is at 65,000 transactions per second. And then we do have Sui, Aptos, and Arbitrum. Sui is one that I've been looking at, or Sui, however you want to pronounce it, quite closely. It is a proof of stake project, but slated to be extremely fast, getting close to 1 million transactions per second, and did recently get added to Phantom Wallet. We'll talk about that too. Qubic is at 15.52, so it blows pretty much everything else out of the water as tested here recently. Qubic's breakthrough isn't just speed, it's capability. The network's unique tick-based architecture delivers atomic consensus, execution, and finality in a single synchronized cycle. This enables use case previously limited by blockchain constraints, including AI compute, DePIN networks, and composable DeFi. Quote, this isn't just about speed, blah, blah, blah. We already read that part, so we're not going to read it again. They just wanted to give you that actual quote from Jennifer King, who is, of course, the chief marketing officer of Qubic Network. And keep that in mind and take this all with a grain of salt because it is coming from Qubic themselves. Just verified by a third party. Either way, still pretty bullish for Qubic in general and bullish for GPU mining and CPU mining as well. Hopefully, it will do something that can bring back GPU and CPU mining for us. I would say, mentioning the CMP 170HXs earlier, this particular project will not perform near as well on the CMP 170HX, which is, heavily leaning towards memory performance with its HBM2 memory, as opposed to getting something newer like a 4090 or a 5090 to mine this in particular. Now, if we take a look at the performance for Qubic here recently, let's go ahead and head on over there. I think over the past 7 days, it did have a pretty sweet pump up just due to this announcement, obviously. And we'll have to see how it's adopted. It's still down from its all-time high back in May of 2024, which it's pretty far down overall as far as that's concerned, about 68% down right now, but it has had a recent little pump up, which is good. Now, its tokenomics are quite insane. The dev team, there's some issues as far as like them changing the rules on things, which has been quite frustrating for a lot of people. But their total market cap is 176 million right now, with a 24-hour volume of 5.85 million and a fully diluted value of 303 million. Not quite as bad as something like Pi Network as far as the fully diluted value, but you still have potentially, if there's not a large adoption, you still have probably a 50% drop incoming without significant push in the market to adopt it as a layer one solution. Hopefully the speed of transactions is what really takes over. And that's kind of the thing with these types of projects. It's like, how much, centralization is going on? What are the dev fees? What's the potential for a rug pull? And then on top of that, will people really adopt it? And how many people are you going to make millionaires before they decide to realize that they're millionaires in fiat currency and dump it on the rest of the community? All these things are up in the air. That's why you mine it and you don't buy it, good sir. And you can mine this quite easily. Unfortunately, it has hit the charts. So the big thing about Qubic right now is the cat's out of the bag. If you've been mining it for a while, you're probably pretty good off. But if you haven't been and want to get into it now, difficulty will be rising, unfortunately. If we go on over to mining pool stats, let's go take a look at Qubic. Mining. Why is that? Oh, almost did it. I can do this. Somehow I typed in .com there. Qubic. I would presume we're seeing difficulty tick up. Yeah, massive difficulty tick up here back in January, and it's just been kind of solid, unfortunately. So obviously there's a big tick up in difficulty on this particular project, still maintaining profitability, and thank goodness a lot of the farms are going offline. So, maybe it won't be as impactful, and home GPU mining will have a chance with something like Qubic. Like I said, it's really going to come down to adoption at the end of the day. Yes, and Vinny said, once again, I will say this again, just reiterate from chat. Vinny says tokenomics on Qubic is challenging, and that is true. And there were a lot of questionable activities going on between dev fees and stealing rewards, etc. There's a lot of that stuff is accusation though too. I have talked about it in the past. The speed is going to be important, and then now adoption, right? So the big question will be, does the crypto community adopt it for things like DeFi, NFTs, DPIN, all that sort of thing? If that doesn't happen, then it's a moot point and it falls on its face. If it does happen, then we go from this 303 million fully diluted value to, a steady 4 billion, which is probably sustainable on this. And then if we do that, then things look really good, right? So if we do market cap of, and we say, for example, I think Kaspa is at 4, right? At 4 billion right now, and then we add in Qubic and we pop that off. Actually, we want to do this backwards, right? Qubic and Kaspa. We pop that off. We would have a 14x from here with Qubic, which I think is a completely reasonable target. What was that, 2/1000 or 2/10,000 of a penny at this point with a 14x pump up from where it's at? Keep in mind, the total liquidity is in the trillions, right? So I wouldn't expect to see this like hit even like a tenth of a penny or anything like that. I think this is a completely reasonable price target for this particular project at this point. And so, you know, it is there. If we went to the Kaspa all-time high, then we could see a 28x, and that would be possible if it took off like that. For that to hit there. So that's kind of my thoughts behind Qubic right now overall. Mining it is pretty low risk. Obviously, right now it is covering power at 10 cents a kilowatt hour. So it's like it's a no-brainer to throw some at it. The difficulty is already kind of capped at what it's going to be capped at. Like I said, I think a lot of mining farms for GPUs are turning off more than turning on right now. So if you want to look at it, go check out my How to Mine Qubic video. Obviously, I'm not sponsored by any coins ever, period, end of story. If something comes up where they have messed something up, let me know immediately and I will address it. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. If you would like to see more from this particular episode, take a look up here. Don't forget to also subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support me directly, you can go to sonofatech.locals.com and become a member. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday.